Hello, welcome to episode 2 of the Inner You podcast. I'm your host Henry, your friendly acupuncturist in Sydney, and today we have Kelvin Chew, our resident chiropractor. And today we'll be talking about Kelvin and how he got into chiropractic. So Kelvin, tell us a little about yourself and how you received your calling.
That's a very deep question. So when it comes to calling, a lot of people get it once and they have a very emotional, very, very inspiring incident that made them, okay, this is what I'm going to do for the next, how many years of my life. For me, I had it twice, actually, maybe more than that, but there's two main parts of it. Two very, very meaningful times of my life where I felt this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life.
Okay. Would you call these sort of keystone memories? Can you think of one particular incident that made you compel you into choosing chiropractic care as a calling?
Yep. So as obviously you know this. So when we started this clinic here, I think that was the second time that I got an inspiration. So the first time was when I had a car accident when I was really young. What happened was had a chronic whiplash. So for those people who don't know what a chronic whiplash is, it's a condition where your neck gets so much stress from the physical force of a car accident that it starts to spasm, the muscles start to spasm up, and your neck just locks up, and it doesn't move like a normal human being anymore. So it's like something that's just stuck, yeah? When that happened, it took about 1 year before a family friend said, hey, I think, Kelvin, there's something wrong with his neck. And my parents were looking at him funny, like, but what do you mean by that? And I sort of knew what he meant because I felt it. I felt the change. It wasn't normal. And I was like 13 back then. So you can tell that that's not normal, yeah? Went to see a chiropractor that he recommended. Had a really, really great experience with that. Really great experience under care, Remember being in the waiting rooms. I was reading the pamphlets that they had. I was reading all the different posters that they had up in the clinic while waiting for my turn to get treated. And I really loved being there. I really loved the experience of being there. It felt right. It felt that was the thing that was going to help me, and it did. So I went for a really, really intensive program. And you could see that the results were slow but steady, and they were happening, and it got better and better. So that was the first time. So it's a personal experience, as I'm sure that you've had as an acupuncturist as well, right? A lot of practitioners.
Absolutely. I think that a lot of healers find their calling when they themselves go through a lot of injuries. I mean, I myself probably broke a little too many bones as a young kid, hence and for myself finding the therapeutic effects of acupuncture greatly shortened the recovery time. But it's fascinating. So it's fascinating to hear for yourself as a young child experiencing chiropractic care for the first time. And when you were a young child, did you think were you a bit frightened about what's going on, or was your practitioners so very professional what he was doing that you felt at ease around him?
That's a really important topic, isn't it? A lot of people find it very daunting to whether it's an acupuncturist, chiropractor, or even a GP, even a dentist. Dentists, but they probably have it the worst. The state that the patient's in when they walk into the clinic, it changes. It just changes the uncertainty. You don't know what's going to happen. It's going to help you in some way, but that uncertainty, your mind needs to imagine what's going to happen next. But if it can't, you start to tighten up.
I think anyone who's ever sat through an emergency room would be very familiar with that feeling.
Yeah, wow, yeah. Well, in that case, it can be unpleasant. Yeah. It can be unpleasant. In terms of my first experience with the chiropractor, I guess the trust was there. I felt the trust even before I met the person for whatever reason, right? Maybe it's my culture back home. It's that you just trust someone who has dedicated their lives to studying the human body and has the experience. You just do so. So I don't think he was really good. I don't think it was anything that he did during the consults that made me ease up. I think I was already at ease for some reason. So, yeah.
Wow. Well, it's amazing to think that it almost seems as though that if you hadn't had that whiplash, you would be a chiropractor today, eh?
I don't think so. I think that'd be something. I'll probably do some music production. I think that's what I would do. I was really interested in music production at one point.
It's funny because that actually leads us on to our next question, Kelvin. If you couldn't be a chiropractor, what would you be? Any profession in the world? Would you still be a music producer?
I think that would be it. Yeah, in some way. I don't think I'll be a very good one, but I think that's what I would do. Yeah, I do find it very, very stimulating to combine technical ability with art.
Absolutely
and
right.
As a chiropractor, I do have the privilege of doing that to some degree. As someone who produces music and records it and mixes it and so on, you definitely have a good mix of both worlds.
Indeed. And if I may say, Kelvin, it wouldn't be the first time that a practitioner's included music in there as part of their therapy.
Yes.
I mean, I have a few colleagues, some people might call them a little bit hippie, but they actually sing to their patients. And I've actually been a patient of them, and it works.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So when you said it works, okay, let's not get into that for today. Okay, that's another topic. So
absolutely. To be continued, of course.
Yes, to be continued. Yeah, that's for episode 1003, I think.
Absolutely. Kelvin, getting back to the topic at hand. So you found yourself in the life as a chiropractor. You're a healer. Now, have you ever had difficulty treating a patient? And what sort of difficulty was it? Were you stumped, or was there a particular situation that made it difficult? Could you give us a story time?
Yeah. Definitely so. Just with any types of jobs. I was just having a chat with one of my clients the other day, and every field, every job has its difficulties. Whether it's dealing with people, right, and this is really a people business. Whether it's dealing with, at the end of the day, we are running a practice, and we have to look at the background side of it as well, right? Things that the clients don't actually see, but we have to do it, you know. So there's a lot of challenging things around. People can be challenging. I think one thing is that there's so many types of personalities. And no one person is the same. People are similar, and I tend to gravitate to people who are similar in some way. But at the same time, you know, everyone's different as well. So you have to be able to put different parts of, different facets of my personality. And that way you can connect better with the person. They understand you better as well. You can't use technical language with people with no, science background. But you also can't use too many analogies with someone with a science background. You know, they wouldn't know
Absolutely.
They wouldn't get it. So you have to learn how to communicate in a way that makes sense to them, so that they can actually, get the full benefits of the care. Because if they don't understand it in the first place, they wouldn't even start care, right? They won't get the benefits of it. They'll be missing out, is my point.
True. And how do you suppose a random patient off the street, when they first encounter chiropractic care, what sort of misunderstandings do you think or misconceptions that they might have upon seeing you for the very first time?
Yep. So one common one is it doesn't apply to all situations, because sometimes it is true, but there's a very common assumption that chiropractic is just like Nurofen, basically, right? It's something that it's like magic. For example, it's like people feel that if you have a sore back, for example, and then you do a magic adjustment, click, and then it's like it works like Nurofen, that the pain's supposed to drop in all the way. It really depends, because at the end of the day, remember that back pain is a symptom, right? It's easy for people to mistake that, back pain is the problem. The symptoms, the surface, there's something that's causing that, right? Whether it's a disc problem, right, or whether it's a subluxation, which is what chiropractors, look for. I mean, you can call it whatever you want to, but it's something that's a problem in the spine, right? That's what we look for, and we address it in some way.
Absolutely. It's a holistic healing system. And as the old saying goes, there's always more than one path to the top of the mountain, and chiropractic care is one of those paths. Oh.
Yep, I would say so. Yeah. So I mean, I don't think one thing's ever enough. I don't think it makes sense to just see a chiropractor for back pain. So you have to still strengthen your core in some way. whether it's Pilates, going to see a physio, for example. So yeah, you're definitely right. Health is a multi modality thing, and it's something that you have to work on in life. Yeah.
Absolutely right, Kelvin. So, what would you say to the skeptics of alternative / complementary healthcare, such as chiropractic care?
Yep. So, from this is a personal point of view, chiropractic, the way that I practice it definitely is complementary, not alternative, because I do work very closely with different professions, with GPs, and yeah, so it's something that should be added on, just like taking vitamins or going to the gym. It shouldn't be a replacement for anything else. As for skeptics, I guess I would say I understand. Because there's only two main reasons why you're a skeptic. The first thing is either you had a bad experience yourself, or you heard about it from somewhere else or someone else, right? So it could be a family friend, it could be your family, it could be your partner who had a bad experience and then they told you about it, or they shared it. And of course you care about your those people. Or it could be something that you read somewhere, right? But what I would say is, at the end of the day, as far as chiropractors in Australia, we are trained very well, I would say so. We all go to university for at least 5 years. And as far as I know right now, it's all university. It's not like a vocational school, for example. So we do a lot of. We're well versed in the human body, I would say, and safety is number one.
Yeah. It's funny you should mention that, but Australia is one of the I would say the first, or one of the very few countries in the OECD which actually regulates modalities like chiropractic care, along with other what would be termed alternative / complementary healthcare. So that's something which I think that we in Australia are a little far ahead of the rest of the world for. Which leads me on to my next question. How does one go about finding a chiropractor? How do people find someone like you? What's the best way to go about looking for a chiropractor?
Yep. So that's a very loaded question as well. I would say look for three things. So the first thing is, it's really hard to know without meeting the person. I think you still have to take the leap to find someone close by, or someone that at least you could see yourself being in the clinic, at least for the first time. Go for it, but look for three things once you meet the person. So the first thing is that it has to be comfortable. So you have to remember that it's a working relationship that you have with someone, right?
Absolutely right.
It's not something that it's not like someone serving you food, in a restaurant. You have to be in a working relationship with this person. They have to understand your needs, and it's something that you have to trust them with that. So stay with someone who you feel that you trust as a person, you feel comfortable with. When you step into their clinic, their space, when you're around them, you don't feel intimidated. You feel like you feel like you're in the right place. You feel like you're exactly where you need to be. You feel at ease. That's the first thing. Okay. The second thing is look for someone who really understands you. So what I mean by that is that when you have a consult with them, the first thing that chiropractors would do, we're trained to do an assessment. So meaning that we'll have a conversation so that you can tell me a bit more about your problem. I can understand it, and when that happens, we go to the next step, which is the assessment. So this is the part where we try to figure out what it is that is going on with you. So look for someone who you feel that is really listening to you and is really understand what you're trying to say. So. And not just because it happens with not just chiropractors, with any health modality. We've all been to the big medical centers where you just just in and out, and you feel like a number. You don't want to feel that way. Not because of feeling itself, but again, you need the practitioner to understand what you're going through. If otherwise, they won't be able to help you the best that they can. The third thing, and this is probably the most important, is a technical thing. So when you see a chiropractor or any health profession really, make sure that they're things like reassessments, reviews. You know, especially if you're going there for a chronic problem, something that's a long-term problem that needs time to get better, they need to do an assessment on you to make sure that you're actually improving. You know, looking for actual markers that you're improving, not just based on how you feel, because it's not the most reliable thing, right? I mean, sometimes, just like in an extreme situation, someone with cancer, for example, they can be in remission, right? Meaning that they can feel pretty good, feel great, but the problem's still there, you know. So you need to do the right things, the right tests as a chiropractor to be able to know where exactly you really are as a patient, you know. Where is your health now compared to when you first started, you know, and where you want to go with it as well.
And
so
that I suppose leads on to the main crux of most alternative / complementary medicines or healthcare, such as chiropractic, which is maintenance of health. So even after your patient goes to see you and they feel a massive improvement after the first, second treatment, it's very, very tempting for the patient to think, you know, I feel a lot better now. I think I'll just forego the next couple of treatments. What do you have to say to those sorts of patients?
Yep, I think ultimately it's up to them. We as practitioners, our job is not to police anyone. What we're here to do is to understand your problem as good as we can, do an assessment so we know what's causing those problems, and then give you a best recommendation. So based on our expertise, on our experience, I will give you a great recommendation, the best that I know of, the same that I would do for my family members too, and I would hope for myself as well if I was in your position. And then it's up to you as the patient to whether you want to do it or not. You know, some people, you know, again, you have to put yourself in the patient's shoes. Yeah? Some people it is quite easy for them to follow through. Some people it's more difficult for different reasons. You know, some people it really is difficult to follow through a recommendation. And yeah, you just try to give different ideas as to how they can still follow through. If they can't, they can't. You know, like I said, it's not our job to police them. As long as we give them the best care, that's the most important thing.
Wonderful. Well, that sounds very, 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 very insightful, Meg. And you've given us a lot of insight into the world of chiropractic care. How would any of the general public in Sydney go about finding a clinic, Kelvin?
Finding my clinic?
Yes.
So I think the best thing is we'll just put it under the description. But we are both based in Ultimo, so we're both based in Ultimo. And yeah, so if you're around the area, whether in Ultimo, whether in Glebe area, Chippendale, Haymarket, Paymont, just give us a call. You know, if you're ready. If you're not ready, if you just want to learn a bit more, if you want to know more about chiropractic, just stay tuned to this podcast. We're going to try to do them weekly. I think we found a way to do it more efficiently now through these Skype calls. And yeah, we'll be giving you as much information as we can, try to support you. And if we're the ones who help you, great. If it's not convenient and you want to find someone else closer to you, for example, that's fine. As long as you get more information and it's helpful to you, that's all that matters. I think we've done our job for the podcasts.
Yeah. Excellent. Thanks a lot for visiting us, Kelvin.
Okay, we'll catch you guys next time. Yeah.
All right.